This lesson is on price determination. Who determines the price of a product? Do not forget that the market comprises both consumers and sellers. The market price is determined by their actions. The supply of producers or sellers and the demand from consumers set the market price. The equilibrium price is the same as the market price. When the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are equal, equilibrium is reached. As a result, the price at which the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied is the equilibrium price. The equilibrium quantity is the quantity at which supply and demand are equal, whereas the equilibrium point is the point at which supply and demand are equal. The equilibrium price is also known as the market clearing price because the seller can sell every unit he has at that price and the buyer can buy all the goods he wants at that price. This means that there is no surplus or shortage at equilibrium. Disequilibrium. Disequilibrium occurs when the quantity demanded is not equal to the quantity supplied. It occurs above or below the equilibrium point. The two types of disequilibrium are surplus and shortage. Surplus arises when the quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded. Surplus is also known as excess supply. The seller will have to reduce the price to restore the equilibrium and clear excess stock. The second type of disequilibrium is shortage. This arises when demand exceeds supply. It is below the equilibrium. When the price of a product falls below the equilibrium price, more people will want to purchase the good, thereby making demand outstrip supply. Shortage is also known as excess demand. The only way equilibrium can be re-established is by raising the price. This means that equilibrium occurs when there is no shortage or surplus in the market. The equilibrium is not static. It can change. Since demand and supply are the major factors determining the equilibrium, a change in either or both of them will result in a new equilibrium point, equilibrium price, and equilibrium quantity. Therefore, the factors that cause a change in equilibrium are change in demand, change in supply, change in both demand and supply. Change in demand. A change can be an increase or a decrease. Let's consider an increase in demand first. An increase in demand is caused by non-price factors such as a rise in disposable income, successful advertising, or a rise in the price of a substitute. An increase in demand shifts the demand curve to the right. From the diagram, a new demand curve, D2, is drawn to the right of D1 as a result of an increase in demand. This produces a new equilibrium point, E2, in the diagram. Also, when it is traced to the price axis, a new price P2 is obtained. A new quantity Q2 is obtained when the new equilibrium point is traced to the quantity axis. In a nutshell, a rise in demand shifts the demand curve from D1 to D2. The equilibrium price rises from P1 to P2 and the equilibrium quantity increases from Q1 to Q2. Change in equilibrium caused by a decrease in demand. A decrease in demand will cause a leftward shift in the demand curve, thereby reducing both the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. In the diagram, a decrease in demand causes a shift from D1 to D2. This results in a reduction in the equilibrium price from P1 to P2 and a fall in the equilibrium quantity from Q1 to Q2. Another major factor that can cause a change in equilibrium is a change in supply. Let's consider an increase in supply first. Supply will increase if the cost of production such as labor cost falls. It will also increase if there is a technological improvement that raises the productivity of capital or when the government gives a subsidy to a firm. It will result in a rightward shift in the supply curve from S1 to S2 in the diagram. Consequently, the equilibrium price falls from P1 to P2, but the equilibrium quantity rises from Q1 to Q2. Let's examine the effect of a decrease in supply on the equilibrium. Supply decreases when the government increases indirect tax or reduces subsidy. The supply curve will shift to the left from S1 to S2. As a result, the equilibrium price rises from P1 to P2 while the equilibrium quantity falls from Q1 to Q2. Change in supply and demand. The equilibrium will change when there is a simultaneous change in demand and supply. In this case, there will be two factors occurring at the same time. One will affect demand while the other will affect the supply. For example, a rise in income at a time when the cost of production is also rising. A rise in income will increase demand and shift the demand curve rightwards, from D1 to D2. A rise in the cost of production will reduce supply and shift the supply curve to the left from S1 to S2. There will be a new equilibrium point, E2. The new equilibrium price, traced from E2, is P2, and the new equilibrium quantity is Q2. In this example, both the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity increased. Let's look at another example that is similar to the previous one. In this case, the decrease in supply from S1 to S2 is larger than in the previous example. The equilibrium price rises from P1 to P2 while the equilibrium quantity decreases from Q1 to Q2. When there is a simultaneous change in demand and supply, the magnitude of the change will determine whether there will be an increase or decrease in the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity.